You know, it's pretty amazing when you think about it, that a story from like 2,500 years ago could actually have something useful to say about your life right now. Well, believe it or not, there's this ancient argument about dinner, of all things, that holds this incredible, super modern secret to making better choices.
So what's the big lesson here? What can a fight about food from thousands of years ago really teach you about your own life today? Well, as we're about to see, the answer goes way, way deeper than you might think.
All right, so our story comes from this ancient text, right? But it kicks off with something that honestly sounds like it could be ripped straight from a modern wellness blog you'd see today.
So the Buddha gets his monks together and suggests a new practice. It's super simple. Just don't eat in the evening. 1 meal a day. That's the new rule.
And he lays out the benefits, which sound pretty great, right? Fewer illnesses, less suffering, feeling lighter, stronger, just an all-around better state of being. And for most of the monks, this was a no-brainer. They were totally on board.
But, of course, there's a twist. The message gets passed along to another group of monks in this town called Kīṭāgiri. And a couple of them, these guys named Asaji and Punabasu, they just flat out refuse. Nope, not doing it.
And the reasoning was, well, it was super direct. They basically said, hold on a second. We eat in the evening, in the morning, whenever we want, and frankly, we feel fantastic. We're strong, we're healthy, so why in the world would we give up something that feels good right now for some vague promise of a benefit way down the road?
Okay, so when word gets back to the Buddha about this, you totally expect him to argue back, right? To maybe list all the health benefits again, really push the diet plan. But he doesn't. He does something really, really strange.
He doesn't even mention food, not once. Instead of debating diets or discipline, he just changes the subject completely. And that right there, that's the puzzle at the heart of this whole story.
He takes this whole conversation about dinner and pivots it to something much, much bigger: the nature of our feelings. He basically asks them, hey, think about it. Have I ever told you guys to just blindly trust your feelings? To assume that just because something feels good or bad or even neutral, that it's automatically leading you in the right direction?
All right, this is where it gets really interesting. To get why his reply was so weird, we actually have to crack a kind of code. And that code is hidden right inside the monk's original complaint, in two specific ancient Pali words.
This is the exact phrase they used in the original language. Why give up the sanditthikam for the kalikam? Now these two words, they are everything. Understanding what they really mean unlocks this whole lesson.
So on the surface, it looks like they're just talking about now versus later, right? The immediate result versus the future one. But the deeper meaning, the thing the Buddha keyed in on, was this huge conflict between trusting your own personal gut-level feeling and having faith in a consequence that takes time to show up.
Let's break that first word down, sanditthikam. It doesn't just mean the present. If you look at its roots, it literally means one's own view or one's own experience. So the monks weren't just saying, we feel good now. They were saying, our personal, direct, felt experience tells us this is fine. It was totally self-evident to them.
And then there's kalikam. This one comes from the Pali word for time. So it's talking about a result that isn't immediate, something that unfolds over time. And to the monks, that sounded, well, kind of abstract, and maybe not even real, especially compared to the very real, very good feeling they were having in that moment.
And boom, that brings us right to the heart of what the Buddha was getting at. He was pointing out this giant flaw in their thinking. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it is good for you. In fact, our immediate feelings can be a really, really terrible guide for making wise choices.
I mean, think about it. You can have a pleasant feeling, like that amazing satisfaction you get when you finally learn a new skill. That leads to growth. But you can also have a pleasant feeling from, say, an addiction. And that leads to decay. Same goes for pain. The soreness you feel after a great workout, that's pain leading to growth. But endlessly dwelling on a painful memory, that's pain leading to decay. The feeling itself doesn't tell you where you're headed.
So this whole idea gives us a really practical tool we can use. Let's call it a wisdom filter. It's 3 simple steps. First, just notice what you're feeling. Pleasant, painful, neutral, whatever. Second, ask the big question. Where is this taking me? Is this action, this habit, causing the good stuff in me to grow or to shrink? And then third, you make your choice based on that outcome, not on the temporary feeling.
And just like that, what started out as a simple argument about when to eat dinner transforms into this powerful modern compass for navigating pretty much any choice you have to make in your life. Seriously, this applies to everything. Mindlessly scrolling through your phone. Does it feel kinda pleasant in the moment? Sure. But is it leading to growth? Probably not. What about that tough conversation you've been putting off? Feels pretty painful to think about, right? But could it lead to real growth in your relationship? You bet it could. It's all about training ourselves to look past the immediate feeling and focus on the long-term result.
Now, this isn't always easy, for sure. It takes real effort. It means being willing to push through discomfort sometimes, to choose the path of growth, even when the path of decay feels so much easier. It's about having this deep-down commitment to keep going until you've achieved what's possible.
So that leaves us with a really powerful question to ask ourselves. I mean, really think about it. Take a look at your own life, your own habits. What are the things that feel good in the moment, but when you're being totally honest, might actually be the very things holding you back from becoming the person you truly want to be?